Self-destructive thinking rarely arrives as something dramatic. It often appears as small, familiar sentences in the mind. At first they sound almost reasonable, even protective. Over time, they quietly shape a whole inner reality where worth always seems low, danger always seems high, and good things never seem meant to last. This is not an accident of personality. It is a pattern, the mind trying to protect from pain, and in the process, slowly hurting the life it is supposed to guard. Understanding these patterns is not about blame. It is about finally seeing the game that has been playing in the background for years. This exploration walks through 7 habits of self-destructive thinking, not as labels like, "you are a self-destructive person," but as specific mental habits the nervous system has practiced over and over again, usually for understandable reasons. Each habit once served as protection, camouflage, or control. The problem is that what once kept the system safe often keeps it small. When each habit is named, understood, and gently interrupted, the mind can become less of an inner enemy and more of a partner in healing. The first habit is quiet but powerful, a self-defeating inner narrative. This is the constant background voice saying things like, "This will not work. People like that never choose someone like this. Something will go wrong anyway, so better not try." It is not only one loud belief, it is a whole atmosphere in the mind. Before a message is sent, this voice imagines rejection. Before a project begins, it announces failure. It claims to be realistic, but its predictions are usually based more on old pain than on current facts. Often this narrative was formed in environments where success was rarely celebrated, where attempts were mocked, or where love felt conditional. The nervous system learned, if expectations stay low, disappointment hurts less. Dismantling a self-defeating mind is not done by forcing positive affirmations that no part of the system believes. A more honest starting point is, yes, this fear of failure exists. Yes, this voice is trying to protect. And also, this voice is not a prophet, only a habit. One gentle practice is to separate possibilities from certainties. When the mind says, "This will definitely fail," it can be answered with, "Failure is one possibility, not the only one." Another practice is to collect even very small pieces of evidence against the narrative. Moments where something went a bit better than expected, where a risk did not end in disaster, where someone responded with more kindness than the mind predicted. This is not denial. It is slow, precise rewiring of what reality means inside. The second habit is hiding from emotions. This does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like constant busyness, like never sitting still long enough to feel. Sometimes it looks like numbness, saying, "Nothing really affects this anymore," while the body shows signs of exhaustion or tension. Hiding from emotions was often necessary during times when feeling fully was too overwhelming. After losses, betrayals, chaotic childhoods, or long periods of survival, the system learned, feeling everything means breaking. Better to feel nothing. This strategy may have been brilliant during crisis. Years later, it often becomes a kind of inner anesthesia that blocks not only pain, but also joy, connection, and meaning. Emotions that are not felt do not disappear. They move into the body as tension, symptoms, explosions, or sudden withdrawals. Undoing this habit does not mean opening every locked door at once. It can begin with very small, contained experiments. Noticing one feeling per day and giving it a simple name, like tightness, sad, irritated, relief. It can mean choosing a specific time and place that are safer, perhaps a short walk, a shower, a few minutes alone with music, and gently asking, "What is actually here today?" If the answer is nothing, that answer is also information. It may be a sign of how scared the system is to open. Over time, small pockets of honest feeling build an inner message. Emotions are waves that pass, not oceans that drown every time. The third self-destructive habit is the pattern of not taking action. The surface may show procrastination, avoidance, delay. Underneath, there are often deeper stories. If this is never tried, it can never officially fail. Or, taking action will reveal that there is nothing special here. The mind then creates a strange logic. Better to stay in the fantasy of what could be than to risk seeing what actually happens. Hours disappear into distractions. Opportunities arrive and leave unanswered. Relationships fade because no message is sent. This looks like laziness from the outside, but inside it usually feels like paralysis mixed with shame. Beginning to undo this pattern means shrinking action into something the nervous system can tolerate. Instead of waiting for a wave of motivation that rarely comes, action can be treated like brushing teeth, something small, habitual, not dramatic. One useful question is, what is the smallest visible step toward this that could be taken today, even if confidence is zero? This might be opening the document, not finishing it. Asking one question, not changing an entire career. Sending one message, not rebuilding all relationships overnight. When the mind says, "This is too small to matter," it can be gently reminded. The current habit is doing nothing. Compared to that, any small move is revolutionary. The fourth habit is forced incompetence. The inner sentence, "just not the type of person who can do this," repeated enough times to become a prison. It might sound like not creative, not good with people, not disciplined, terrible with emotions, and so on. Sometimes this started with labels given by others, teachers, parents, early bosses. Sometimes it began as a shield. If something is declared impossible, there is no need to risk the humiliation of trying. The mind then treats abilities as fixed traits instead of skills that can be developed with patience and support. Releasing forced incompetence is not about pretending to be instantly excellent at everything. It is about shifting from identity statements to process statements. Instead of "not good with emotions," a more open sentence is learning how to stay with emotions for a few seconds longer than before. Instead of hopeless with money, practicing one simple habit with money this month. One practical move is to choose one area where incompetence feels strongest and run experiments there. Small, low-stakes situations to test what happens when this old label is challenged. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to gather real data instead of living only from old declarations. The fifth self-destructive habit is chronic self-comparison. The mind treats other people's lives like weapons pointed at the heart. Every success online or in the office becomes proof of being behind, late. Self-worth is measured like a fluctuating stock price, always depending on who is nearby. Comparison can serve as a way to avoid looking at what really matters. If everything is always about being behind, there is no need to ask what actually fits the soul. Many comparison habits started in systems where love felt dependent on performance, where siblings were compared, or where adults constantly measured worth externally. Stopping all comparison overnight is unrealistic in a world that constantly invites it. A more grounded step is to change what comparison means. Instead of "they have this, therefore this is less," comparison can become "this shows one possible expression of life, not a verdict about worth." Curiosity can be added. What does this trigger envy about? Is it status, freedom, creativity, stability, visibility? Often this points to a real, unmet desire. That desire is not shameful, it is information. Instead of staying stuck in "why them, not this," the question can slowly turn into, given the nervous system and circumstances as they are, what is one small way to move towards something that actually matters here? The sixth habit is anticipating rejection before it happens, and then sabotaging opportunities to prove the prediction true. The moment something good approaches, a connection, a compliment, a chance, a door slightly open, the mind rushes to list everything that will go wrong. Messages are left unanswered, invitations ignored, projects abandoned right before they become visible. It can look like losing interest or changing direction, but under the surface there is often a pattern. Better to drop something first than to risk being dropped. This is usually not random. It often forms in childhood or early relationships where love was unstable, where affection was withdrawn without explanation, or where humiliation followed moments of hope. Beginning to unwind this habit requires immense gentleness. The fear behind it is not silly, it is ancient. One practical experiment is to delay sabotage by just one step. For example, when the urge appears to cancel, withdraw, or ghost, a small pause is inserted, 10 breaths, a walk around the room, a written note of what is feared. Then, a question can be asked. What if this time, one more step is taken? Sending one more reply before disappearing. Finishing one more paragraph before closing the project. attending one meeting before deciding never to return. The goal at first is not to never withdraw. It is to show the nervous system that staying a little longer does not always equal catastrophe. The seventh self-destructive habit is normalizing disrespect, both from others and from the inner voice. When life has been lived in environments where mockery, criticism, neglect, or emotional violence were common, the system starts to treat that climate as normal weather. Friends who belittle, partners who minimize, workplaces that erode dignity. These can feel familiar, even strangely comfortable. Inside, the same pattern repeats, an internal voice that constantly insults, shames, and dramatizes every mistake. The mind becomes its own bully, rehearsing every error as if it were proof of being fundamentally wrong. Recognizing that disrespect has been normalized is already a deep step. Often there is a moment of shock. If someone else were treated this way, it would be called abuse. But when it happens here, it has been called just how things are. Starting to undo this habit means adjusting the standard. One simple question to keep in mind is, would it be acceptable to speak this way to a child or a dear friend? If the answer is no, then this way of speaking to self is not acceptable either. Externally, it can mean slowly spending less time with those who repeatedly cross basic lines. Or, when that is not yet possible, investing more energy into connections where respect is mutual. Internally, it can mean introducing even one neutral sentence after a harsh inner attack. This was a mistake, not a definition. All 7 habits, self-defeating narratives, hiding from emotions, chronic inaction, forced incompetence, comparison, anticipatory rejection, and normalized disrespect, are not signs of being broken beyond repair. They are signs of a nervous system that adapted to difficult conditions and never received an update. Each habit makes a kind of sense when the original context is remembered. The invitation now is not to hate these patterns, but to thank them for the protection they once offered, and then slowly retire them from leadership. Changing self-destructive thinking is not a quick mental trick. It is a long, often subtle process of choosing different inner moves again and again, especially when old habits feel loud. It involves noticing when the mind starts its usual spiral and inserting one small interruption, a question, a breath, a slightly kinder sentence, a slightly different action than usual. Over months and years, these micro-moves re-educate the system about what safety, possibility, and self-regard can look like. If these 7 habits feel uncomfortably familiar, that recognition is not a failure, it is a doorway. Awareness is the first sign that the system is ready for something different. As this journey continues, new habits can be practiced. Self-talk that is firm but not cruel, action that is small but consistent, emotional honesty that is gentle and contained, relationships where respect is standard, not exception. This is how a life slowly moves from self-destructive thinking to self-protective and self-supportive thinking. For those drawn to this kind of inner work, staying close to spaces that speak this language helps the nervous system remember it is not alone. Subscribing keeps these reflections near when old habits grow loud. Liking this video helps this message find others who quietly live with the same patterns. Sharing it with someone recognized in these descriptions can offer a mirror and a bit of relief. It is not only this. And if one habit stood out as the most active right now, naming it in the comments can be the first conscious step toward gently undoing it.